Hi, I'm Trang, co-founder of pTrackly. Today, let's talk about ISO 27001. ISO 27001 was created to help organizations systematically safeguard valuable data through the implementation of an information security management system. You'll often hear people ask, do you have an ISMS in place? That's the core of ISO 27001. For example, imagine a SaaS company in US that stores customer financial data and wants to expand to Europe and Asia. ISO 27001 ensures they have structured processes to protect that data, giving clients confidence in their security practices. Or take a health tech startup managing patient records. Having an ISMS in place shows regulators and clients that all necessary precautions are actively implemented. Unlike SOC 2, which is much more of a US standard, ISO is a global standard, so organizations that are global and want to sell across the world, in the EU, in Asia, are the types of organizations that should be thinking about ISO 27001. If you're aiming to only be focused in the US, SOC 2 is the gold standard here, whereas globally ISO 27001 is the gold standard. Think of them almost like as sister certifications or sister reports, sister compliance frameworks. One is just generally more known across the globe, one is generally more known in the US, but they're becoming kind of synonymous with each other, and hopefully in the near future you won't need to be complying with both. Since they're so closely related, you'll be able to do one or the other. Two main reasons. One, this standard provides companies with a way to know that they are doing what they need to do to protect their most valuable asset, which is their customer information. The other one is that a company can get certified against ISO 27001. And in this way prove to customers and other third parties that it is taking steps to safeguard their data. It is actively working on safeguarding their data and taking a proactive approach. Getting ISO 27001 certification shows that they've invested both time and money into doing that. So companies need to build out their ISMS prior to hiring an auditor. The ISMS, unlike SOC 2, is very prescriptive. It has very specific requirements. It requires very specific documentation. It's very, again, prescriptive in that manner. Unlike SOC 2, which is very flexible, it allows you to kind of build to your company's needs. In order to build an ISMS, you really do need someone with ISO experience. This was typically done if you had that knowledge in-house or through the use of consultants. If no one inside the company had enough knowledge to implement the ISO 27001 program, you'd typically hire a consultant. They would traditionally help companies develop the required policies and procedures to be ISO 27001 ready and support the implementation of those processes. However, this approach is often costly and time-consuming. That's exactly why we focus on AI automation. Much of this knowledge can be standardized and automated across different compliance frameworks, enabling teams to execute security processes themselves, even non-technical employees. The internal audit requires that you not use someone in the company that is managing the program. So they want it to be independent. They don't want the same person managing your ISO program to also be doing the internal audit. That would result in what ISO calls a non-conformity, because they want to see independence of the person internal auditing you and the person managing the program. So you would do this internal audit prior to the ISO stage 1. The internal audit would hopefully identify any major or minor non-conformities with respect to your ISMS program, if any existed. So hopefully none exists, but if any did, your internal audit is there to catch any major or minor non-conformities with respect to the program. If any major or minor non-conformities were identified, you would put in a corrective action plan to solve those issues prior to moving forward with your stage 1 audit. And so I mentioned stage 1, and that is the beginning of your journey down getting ISO 27001 certification. So you go through this readiness process. You do an internal audit, then you sign up your external auditor, and you get an ISO stage 1 in place. ISO Stage 1 is essentially a brief look at your program. So they'll look through your documentation, they'll take a look at some of the more serious controls, but they don't do a full audit. They're essentially checking to make sure, hey, are you actually ready for the ISO Stage 2? which is the complete audit of your program. And so that is the process for getting an ISO 27001 certification. And so we built a platform called pTrackly to replace the traditional internal audit process. Instead of relying on a single person within the company to conduct the internal audit, pTrackly enables all departments to participate through structured checklists and workflows that cover the entire ISO audit framework and ensure all requirements are properly in place. By automating and standardizing these processes, companies can eliminate the need for a traditional Stage 1 internal audit and move directly to the Stage 2 audit once the framework has been fully implemented using the platform. And then you go through the ISO Stage 2, which is typically about a week-long process after the Stage 1 is complete. And typically that will happen. They'll typically give you a little bit of time in case the Stage 1 identifies any issues in order to resolve those issues between the Stage 1 and the Stage 2. And so they'll usually give you a month or two to resolve any problems prior to that. The main reason an organization wouldn't get a certification is time. Historically, it takes a lot of time to undergo ISO readiness and auditing processes. While the audit may only is comprised of 2 separate audits, it may only take a little over a week in time. The amount of effort needed to collect evidence across all systems and run the processes required to ensure compliance is in the hundreds of hours. Meaning, if you don't have a system like SecureFrame, which can help automate a lot of those processes, it is a big enough time constraint that you probably need a full-time person operating the program over the course of a year and running the audit. So you can use platforms like pTrackly, which provide an end-to-end compliance solution, including audit readiness processes, Stage 1 audit support, and coordination with external auditors to obtain certification. So I mentioned this before, but ISO is a very prescriptive standard. It has a lot of nuance and detail that is required in order to meet the ISO requirements. ISO 27001 controls. Unlike SOC 2, which is pretty flexible and it allows you to kind of form the controls that you want to adhere to, ISO is prescriptive and has very specific requirements. And so having someone that has a background in ISO and understands how to implement those controls and operate them is very, very important.